You guys have such a wonderful packed schedule of.
We've been staying on schedule. It's been moving swimmingly. So we're gonna start up now. We got 15 minutes here for you. I'm gonna read your bio. And I'm gonna ask you a series of questions for the students all watching from their respective classrooms around
Okay.
Western Mass.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right. Well, we have Phyllis Williams-Thompson, Director of Talent Acquisition and Employment Relations at Tech Foundry. As a dynamic woman leader in her community, Ms. Williams-Thompson embodies the passion and commitment to empower individuals on their career journey in order to grow their leadership capabilities. She strategically utilizes skills gained from her master's in science and communications degree from Bay Path University to create innovative solutions for her career development through employer partnership, engagement, and outcome-based student career events. She also manages multi-million-dollar marketing and media campaigns for a for-profit health science firm to improve the quality of life and for health and families, infants, and adolescents. Phyllis, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Series of questions starting off with, obviously I just read a couple of different highlights of your career. Could you kind of give us a little more in-depth view of your career pathway to date?
All right. Thank you so much, Justin. I want to thank you, and I wanted to thank Jennifer and Junior Achievement for hosting me this afternoon. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk with the folks in middle and high school. So I hope that you guys are doing well in your school year, and I'm excited to be with you today. So in my career, I've had quite the career. I started out in nonprofit management, actually. I got a communications and marketing degree from Augsburg University. You heard from my husband earlier, Chad Thompson, this morning. He's kicked off the day. And so we had kind of like a little bit of a bet between each other that when I started school and we started at the same time, that who was going to have the better career or the higher paying job with a communications degree or a business degree. And so it started out, I ended up being the higher earner with the communications degree. And then I've made some changes in my career along the way. So I had a pretty long career with March of Dimes Foundation, and they're a nonprofit that focuses on improving the health of babies all around the country and the world. I had the wonderful opportunity when they were expanding their prematurity campaign to focus on developing partnerships around the globe. I didn't get to travel to different places, but I had the opportunity of working with startup nonprofits, really parent groups that were impacted by preterm birth. And so I'm really proud of the experience of being able to work with consumers that were able to make a big difference in their communities, in their countries, in Europe, in China, in Africa, in Canada. And so one of the projects that I'm most proud of in my career is we help light up to bring awareness of preterm birth around the world and let people know the seriousness of it and how corporations and governments needed to focus on improving the health outcomes of babies. We decided to gather together virtually and utilize our resources of volunteers and our boards to light up buildings around the world. And so I led that project, and we were able to illuminate buildings. So imagine a purple light bulb, and we lit up bridges, historic buildings like the Empire State Building, for example, in New York City, the iconic Empire State Building to mention, and then also around the world, 350 buildings. It really became quite an amazing achievement. And so one of the things we did is we had a Facebook page, and we created awareness with that when Facebook was one of the social media platforms that a lot of companies utilized. And so I did pull out my service award I got from March of Dimes from the president at the time, Dr. Jennifer House, awarded me a 15-year service award a few years back. I'm really proud of that achievement. It was an opportunity where the company, they celebrated your fifth anniversary all the way up to 40 years or even more. And so I had the opportunities to stand in front of all of my colleagues in our White Plains, New York corporate office and be recognized. And my bio was read to my colleagues, and I had a picture with the president of the organization. So that was a really successful career. I decided to move from my March of Dimes career because I did a lot of traveling around the country. And at the time, I grew my family throughout that. So as a working mom, it was a challenge to balance both being a mother, being a wife, and having a full-time career that I built up with March of Dimes. So I decided at the point when my children, one of my children was an adult and went off to the military, but my other two children, younger children, were basically middle school. And I wanted to be closer to home. I wanted to get to the soccer games, the basketball games, things like that. So I decided to take a leap of faith and enter a different career in higher education. And so I moved to Elms College, which is only 5 miles from my home in Springfield, and developed a career in career development where I led the Career Center at Elms College. And I absolutely adored all of the Elms students, working with them, mentoring them. I was the director of the Career Center and a one-person office. And so my challenge that I had in that career, which I know you'll ask about later, Justin, so maybe I'll save that for later, but I really enjoyed servicing the students, developing their interests. I had a lot of interns and work study students. So I really encourage the students out there, if you have a particular interest or something you want to learn about, to get involved. Volunteering is the best way to get involved. And that's actually how my career with March of Dimes started. I was a volunteer and met the executive director and started talking about my experience. And she said, "Oh, we're going to have a part-time job opening up in communications. Would you like to come in, or would you like to apply for the position?" And then that's how my career started with them.
That's great. So a lot of success points that you've had in there. What do you have as habits, success habits, that will help allow you to continue to remain organized and focused and driven within your career?
Yeah, definitely. In my career, I do a lot of different things. I would say that I'm more of a generalist than a specialist. And what I mean by that is, like, a lot of times people will look at different fields of being able to focus on like business or nursing, or communications or marketing. And so try not to just box yourself in. Really kind of think of the degree that you might go for, or the job that you're going for, as one of the areas that you're good at, and then try to get other skills that you want to go along with that will complement it, because it really goes a long way and it helps open up the door for other opportunities. So I would say being organized, not kind of having an open mind, like being willing to try different things. And a lot of times, sometimes like if you're thinking of business, a lot of people don't think of nonprofits as running a business, but nonprofits, they're probably even more so like a business, because we have to show basically that we're meeting the mission, that we're serving the demographic, the community at large. And we also report to the board of trustees or a board of directors. So it's really important that you don't like pigeonhole or kind of like narrow in different industries, because there's so many different opportunities. So if someone says, "Oh, don't go to a nonprofit, you're never going to make money," that you can't generalize that like that. That's not very, very good to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, as you've gone through your career, you've had a lot of successes. All of us are imperfect beings. Sometimes I like to phrase it, we actually tend to learn more from our mistakes and our losses than we do from our victories. Is there something over your career, either a mistake or something that you look back to that has helped you to progress in your career?
As far as progressing, I would say identifying people that can be a mentor to you is really important. Especially for me as a woman of color, that's something that is really important in my career, to identify people that are going to help me along the way. I have friends that I can reach out to in any given moment when I'm feeling like I can't get through something or I'm feeling overwhelmed. So it's important for the students to develop those networks. That can be a teacher, a guidance counselor. I was a career director, so definitely a career director. you want to surround yourself with people, even your peers, your friends, someone that you can text or you can call, you can get on, social media and be able to support them. So that's important to me. I had a couple in my career, a couple of managers. I want to highlight my Marchedimes manager, the last one I had. She was really an incredible mentor. She sat down with me and really talked about what I want to accomplish. And I was doing my master's degree at Bay Path at the time. At the end of completing it, I wanted to, go into a higher level position because I put all that money into that master's and all that time and energy. And at the time, it was a very challenging time in my personal life. I had an infant, a toddler, and a teenager. So I had to really kind of balance it all, but I really went for it. And it was really because of my manager wanting to mentor me, I was able to get the success and move up to a next level within the organization. So a mentorship is really important. You can be a mentor and you can also be menteed for all of your life. So
Phyllis, so within you being able to get to that next role of your career, within that leadership position, how do you feel as though, or what would you say is qualities of a good leader within an organization, whether it be nonprofit
yes,
or profit?
definitely the communication skills is key. Being able to communicate about yourself, also being able to have those hard discussions or sensitive discussions. Sometimes that's required when you're in your field and you're working in your career. Things don't always go perfectly every single day. So if you have a challenge, just think you're not alone and that you need to kind of step back and figure out, who do I need to communicate this information to? Do you need to talk to your supervisor about it? Do you need to talk to a manager? Do you need to talk about with other team members to say, how do we work together to collaborate to solve this problem? So right now in my current career, I'm at Tech Foundry. It's an IT workforce training program. So I moved from the Elms career director position to Tech Foundry. So Tech Foundry is a startup nonprofit, and we're servicing students that are ages 18 with a high school diploma all the way up to age 60. And what I loved about switching my career to Tech Foundry, I was able to return to my passion with nonprofit management. And I love their mission of focusing on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and really helping underrepresented communities in Western Massachusetts and Northern Connecticut, and really anywhere as long as you can get to our office location. Obviously with the pandemic, we had to switch a little bit and do some remote learning, but we do have the students that are in the program come in 1 day a week. And so with that career, I've been able to utilize those communications because I'm talking with, recruiting students that want to be in the program. I'm working with the students on their career development objectives. And then I'm working with employers in the region to see if they'll be a partner with us.
Absolutely. So what do you think some of the challenges are going to be for this next generation of students watching today as they head into professional careers?
Yeah, I was listening a little bit to LaTanya Naylor in the previous presentation, and I think she pointed out technology. Of course, I can't let that go being at a tech company. So I agree with her that you cannot, you have so much access to the technology and not put it away. So you do need to turn off the technology. So I find myself, even my husband, who I think is listening in on my presentation, we're, so in tune. We grab that, smartphone, and we're always looking and searching and trying to do our emails and things like that. But I would say really take the time, especially now with the pandemic, to have conversations. So to have some face-to-face, if you can do the social distancing with masks, if it's 5 minutes, have that social distancing conversation. Yesterday, I visited my church because there was a new administrator starting. I brought flowers to her and I was there for 10 minutes, social distance with masks, having that conversation. And in that small amount of time, we were able to connect and find out that she worked at the church that used to own my house. So my house was known as like few decades back as the deanery, and she worked at this particular church in Springfield. And so we made that connection by having that face-to-face conversation.
That's so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And last quick question is, if you can go back, what advice would you give your 16-year-old self?
16-year-old self. Well, I have a birthday in November, and I started college very early. So when I started college, I was only 17. So at 16, I was really kind of preparing myself for my next steps. I grew up in Southern California, and I had to make the decision of, determining if I wanted to go to a California school or, pick a different school in another part of the country. So what I would do for the advice that I would give for my 16-year-old self is that, really do what I did. I took a risk, and I actually moved across the country to Minnesota. I didn't know much about the Midwest. I had heard like little stories here and there. I think I heard about Garrison Keeler, who does like a prairie kind of home companion radio talk show. I didn't know a lot about Minnesota, but what it helped me in making that choice, making the decision to take a risk of going somewhere that I didn't know, and I didn't know a soul. It actually helped me grow, and it helped me be able to take the risk for my next step in my life was when I got the promotion from Minnesota, like after graduating from school and then starting my life with my husband. I got a promotion to the March of Dimes regional position, and that involved moving to the Northeast. And so that was another risk. And so I think that if you're someone out there, a student that's saying, okay, I don't know if I want to go to a college, across the country because of the pandemic, for example, when you get to that point, or, you have a choice of making, what experience you're going to have in terms of a first job or a first internship. Take a risk, do something that you're not comfortable with. Get yourself out of the comfort zone, because it really helps you, propels you into making decisions that really impact your life. And so for me, mine was pretty crucial. Had I not chose Minnesota, I wouldn't have met my husband on the first day.
There you go. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, Phyllis, thank you so much for your time and your insight into everything. Really appreciate it. And with that being said, we'll head into our next break. We got a short one this time, but